Here at Jake and Joel Are Magic, we like enchantments. We want to play enchantments in EDH. We want them to come down and do their thing for many turns.
What's cool about enchantments is that they are hard to answer, and so today we're going to talk about the best enchantments of 2021, and the video starts right now.
Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to The Day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are going to talk about the top enchantments in the year 2021. But before we do, if you would, go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out.
It's the best way to support the channel with just the click of a button. If you are a fan of Jake and Joel Are Magic, head on over to Patreon and get involved in a deeper level. You get your name in the videos. There's signed stuff that we're going to send you. There's giveaways. It's the whole shebang. We have scoured the lists and we've come up with the definitive best ever list that you will find on the internet. I can't believe that we figured it out, Joel. We've solved the equation, and that's a perfect way to segue into these enchantments.
All right, transition complete. Successful transition. Let's start this list off with Rustic Study.
What's this card?
Where else do we start but Rustic Study if we're going to talk about enchantments, right? Anything that's going to be free mana or drawing cards is always going to be good, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to Magic, if you're new to EDH, if you're not new to EDH, let me tell you, drawing cards is a good thing.
Yeah, I kind of wish the flavor text of this card had changed over the years to "Did you pay the one?" I think that would just kind of, maybe they do a secret layer meme edition where they just throw flavor text on cards that fall into the culture of EDH, but it's one of those top tier enchantments. And again, all of these enchantments are great because they're difficult to remove by 3/5 of the color wheel.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Talking about free mana and drawing cards, here's the other huge automatic include. If you're running white in a deck, you run your Soul Ring, you run your Smothering Tithe, and you run your 97 other cards plus your commander.
Yeah, so you're just going to generate a lot of treasure and you're going to be able to ramp out early. That's really the name of this card. This card came out, and even though it does cost 4 mana, it takes a little while for it to get online. I mean, not if you're running a bunch of fast mana and pile of mana rocks. But yeah, excellent card, fantastic card. It will be a staple for a long time. We're already looking forward to reprints of this card. I can't wait to see what kind of variants WotC puts on it in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Jake, we're back to drawing cards. Free mana and drawing cards. It seems like we're hitting a theme here. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you can draw a card. They can pay 4 to stop it. Jake, if they didn't pay the 1 for the Rustic Study, they didn't pay the 2 for the Smothering Tithe, how often do you think people pay the 4 for Mystic Remora?
Not very often.
No.
And the cumulative upkeep is completely negligible. By the time that you no longer are paying for this card, it's already done the damage that it needs to do.
Right.
And you're going to have more cards in hand than your opponent. Mystic Remora is one of these cards that's in desperate need of a reprint. And who'd have thunk that a common from Ice Age would end up being one of the top tier commander cards to this day, holding honestly a higher price point than the majority of the cards in that set is this common.
Classic art. Love this card. Jake, we're back to free lands. At the beginning of your upkeep, and if an opponent controls more lands, you can search for up to 3 basics, reveal them, and put them into your hand. I've seen this card used a lot to thin out your deck so you're only drawing heat.
It puts you in a really good situation to just kind of, make sure that you're always hitting that, or else your opponents have to say, all right, I'm going to take a turn off of playing lands so that your land tax doesn't go off, which no one's really going to take. That's not going to happen. So yeah, it's a fantastic card, and it's one of those cards that's withstood the test of time in EDH. If you're playing white, mono white is absolutely going to want land tax. It loses a little bit of potency when you get outside of just mono white or 2 colors with just white and a splash of something else. But yeah, very good card. Expect it to continue popping up. Getting into number 5. It's card draw. Mulder Reclamation, 1 green, 1 black, 3 other. Enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life and draw a card. Oh man, it does everything.
That's
opponent wipes the board. Just go ahead and draw cards for the number of dudes you had. If you're playing Lathril, I hope you didn't have too many dudes out there because you might actually mill yourself.
This can play into your own strategy. It doesn't even have to just be board wipe protection. which it already is fantastic at. But if you're playing some sort of sacrifice, aristocrats, or even token strategies, which are very prevalent in green and black, this is just further protection on your board state where, like Jake said, if it gets wiped, fill your hand back up.
That's right. And I would like the card even if it were non-token creature. The fact that it does cover tokens just makes it that much better, and it is, you know, just absolute gas in the uncommon slot.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Jake, lands and drawing, lands and drawing, lands and drawing.
Whoa, what a theme.
It's a crazy theme. Another green card here with exploration, simply 1 mana, and it lets you play an additional land on each of your turns. What else needs to be said? You want to honestly, ironically, combine this with card draw so that you can keep your hand full of lands to be able to play, because at a certain point you just won't have any lands in your hand.
You do run out of lands in your hand. That is the drawback of this card. But for people that really value that quick out the gate, you know, exploration is not going to disappoint you. Just get the lands out, play the big stuff, get out ahead of your opponents. Yeah, it's a fantastic card, and at a very, very, very reasonable casting costs. I said very 3 times. Do I win something?
Yeah, absolutely. That means that it's extra, extra, very. And what is extra, extra, very is more attack steps. Jake, we got a red enchantment on the list. Yay! Hooray! Wee!
Wait, it doesn't draw cards, and it doesn't find lands. What does it do? It must be very good.
It does not ramp. It does not draw you cards, but it does give you additional combat phases every single turn that it is on the battlefield. If you've got a super aggressive deck, you want to be attacking anyway, and so paying 5 to have an additional combat phase and all your creatures get to untap is pretty excellent. You're only going to activate this in main phase 2, obviously. However, for 3 mana and then your eventual mana dump of 5, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that, you know, the way Joel just explained it is if you don't want that combat phase, just go ahead and swing and then just use the untap. You don't have to swing in that additional combat phase. You can just untap all your dudes and then be ready to block if you want to have a nice offensive move, and then kind of like a pseudo vigilance kind of thing going on here for 5 mana.
Jake, there's another thing about this card, which is that it's not limited to doing this once per turn. So if you have 10 mana available and you've got, you know, 50 goblin tokens.
Oh, now we're talking.
You're easily able to attack through. Some of their creatures are wiped, some of your creatures are wiped, pay 5, untap, attack through. But yeah, most of our good enchantments for EDH are in white, blue, green. And so having a red one on here was important to us. But Jake, let's get back to the green enchantments. Even though this is another creature-based enchantment, it's a little bit more than that because it's tutor included.
Yeah, it's extremely mana efficient tutoring that's going on here. 2 to play, 1 to use the ability, choose and discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal that card to all players, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your library afterwards. Again, only limited to the number of green mana that you want to spend doing this. Decks that really love putting stuff in the graveyard, Carador, Muldrotha, builds like that are really going to love survival of the fittest because you're able to, for example, you know, pitch Mikaeus into the graveyard to go find Triskelion, and now all you have to do is figure out a way to reanimate Mikaeus, get those 2 on the battlefield, and just win. So yeah, tutoring, graveyard fueling, there is a reason why this card is super duper expensive.
Absolutely, and it makes top decking a mana dork late game not as painful.
That's right.
Because you can just pitch it and go get anything else you want. Jake, we're back around to drawing cards now with Frixion Arena. We hadn't had a black enchantment on here, and we wanted to make sure that we included at least something of every color. We did get a little bit of black with Mulder Reclamation, but this is kind of that iconic mono black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card, lose a life. You're losing a life, you're drawing 2 cards at the beginning of every turn. A lot of people poo-poo on this card. They're not huge fans of it. They want to look down their nose at Frixion Arena. But I like it a lot, and I personally play it in a lot of my decks. I really like the value that it can offer you over multiple turns.
Yeah, as long as it's net a card, you're pretty much ahead, right? So once it's net 2 or 3, then yeah, the velocity is there. And again, this is just a very signature card. It is very, like, people are in the camp of they don't like it. People are in the camp that they do. If I'm playing this in like 2-color deck or something, you know, then great. Blue has so much card draw already, you might not really need Frixion Arena. But yeah, very good card, and I mean, I can't imagine that people stop playing it anytime soon. And getting on into number 10, it's a green card, and it does degenerate things. This one actually not reserve list, if I recall correctly. So Defense of the Heart, 1 green, 3 other. During your upkeep, if one of your opponents controls 3 or more creatures, sacrifice Defense of the Heart. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards and put those cards into play. Shuffle your library afterwards. So I was just talking about Mike and Trike. This is one of those cards where if your opponent has more creatures than you, you can just go grab your combo, put it onto the battlefield, and just win right there if nobody has any kind of response to it.
With Defense of the Heart, go grab Craterhoof Behemoth and Raise Boar and just win right there with all the creature tokens that I hope you created. You know, it's the kind of thing, it does have to get all the way back to their upkeep. It's a 4-mana investment for them with an enormous payoff. I would definitely run this in green decks where, like Jake said, you've got 2 cards that can win you the game. I would rather just shuffle up and, you know, start a new game than this to go into turn 25 through 30. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Let us know down below which enchantments we forgot. Yell at us down there. We want to talk to you about it.
And just remember, run something like Aura Shards. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's a really good way to do. What's that?
Now we have a number 11 on this list, Jake. We can't call this 10 anymore.
No.
People are going to yell at us. This was actually 11.
Spot removal is your friend.